Welcome back to Baseline to Baseline here, high school basketball show on ESPN Chattanooga. We are nice enough to be joined here today by the Baylor Red Raider head coach, Mark Price. Mark, welcome in. How's everything going?
Good, Greg. Thanks for having me on. Just exciting time of the year for postseason basketball. Feel like got our team in a really good place to make a run here. So yeah, we're looking forward to Saturday.
Absolutely. And before we get to Saturday, because we are going to talk about your matchup coming up with NBA, talk to me a little bit about the season, how it went. You guys were 16-7 overall from what I see on Coach T. Again, I know the information sometimes doesn't always get to everybody and whatnot, but a pretty good season for you guys, and you played some really good competition. And just talk me through, how your season went, your regular season went.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. First of all, it has been a really, really successful season for us. And not to cheat our kids, I think Coach T's minus a game there, we're 17-7. So those wins are hard to come by. We're going to take every one of them we can get. But yes, and honestly, finished a really tough East region with a 6-2 record. I've earned the bye and the number 2 seed in the region. So, I think, there have been a number of factors with this season. We had 8 of our guys that played football until, early December. So, we've been a slower developing, later starting team. And, I think it's lent itself to, us maybe playing our best basketball here toward the end of the year, which, so much of a basketball season is getting your team to where, you're figuring each other out, and you are playing your best toward the end of February as far as the length of our season is concerned, in the first week of March in the state tournament, hopefully. So, I think it's had its share of challenges, because of injuries. Greg, we have literally, I told our guys the other day, we have played one game all year with all of our top 9 guys. We've had just, significant injuries or situations where guys didn't play. So that's been a challenge because our rotation has been pretty fluid. And to be honest, that's where I'll give our kids the most credit is, they've been pretty resilient in terms of being willing to continue to figure out and adjust their roles, compensate for different deficiencies that we've had or different, roles that they've had to assume or modified roles at different times of the year. So for us to have endured, I think, some of the shortages that we have from a personnel standpoint to sit here and be 17-7 and 6-2 in the region is something that I'm really proud of.
Mark Price again hanging with us here on Baseline to Baseline ESPN Chattanooga. So when it comes to guys having modified roles, and that was interesting what you said there about, you haven't really had your core group of guys together, all 9 guys that you're going to be playing for an entire season at any given time, whether it be football, whether it be injuries. Who has had to have modified their role the biggest so far this season with everything you guys have had to deal with?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily from that standpoint just one guy. I think that anytime that you have a key guy out, we had a long stretch of the season here without Evan Haney. He played his first game in a month, Friday night. And then we had another long stretch in the middle of the year without Isaiah Whaley. And those have been 2 really impactful perimeter players for us, for the last several years in our program. And then we played a stretch at the very beginning of the year without Joao Rigo, who's been a guy who started most of the time this year. So anytime that there's, one guy that's out for an extended period of time, it causes, everything from substitution rotation to, defensive matchups to the way that we're going to strategically guard certain things. We're going to switch certain things or not switch. It puts a premium on the acumen of your players to be able to, be smart enough basketball players to say, okay, our strategy is going to change for the time being. And then when we, are back to having our full personnel, then we're going to be back to, what kind of is our default. So those guys, and they're really smart players, have been able to do that. And I don't think it's one guy that's had to answer that bell, but I think it's more of a collective effort.
Yeah, and that makes sense, that where everybody has had to sort of modify their role that they've had to play so far this season. when it comes to your team, talk to us a little bit about some of the guys specifically who, have played well this year or exceeded expectations or, maybe surprised you that they grew a lot throughout this season from when it started to where you are now at the finish.
Yeah, I mean, we're still a relatively young group, right, Greg? I mean, we've got, Evan Haney and Joel Rigo, who are seniors. Joel's only been here. This is his second year. Evan's been in our program for a long time. But the rest of our guys and some of our guys that statistically have been the most prominent offensively are younger players. Zane Rastelli has, been our leading scorer a lot of nights. And Isaiah Whaley has had a really great last month of the season coming back from his injury and scored a ton of points for us. And he's a junior. And a junior, Jack Shutters, has had some really big games for us as a post player. And then, even, Jakob Usazinski is a junior and has played. And Cameron Sparks, honestly, in so many ways, Cameron's a sophomore, as is Zane. And Cam has been one of the most impactful defenders in the entire state this year. He's just got he's 6'4", 6'5", and he's got the versatility to guard anywhere from a 5-man to a point guard, just with his athleticism. So, we've really, all the, aforementioned guys have exceeded expectations. And the biggest thing they've done, Greg, is they've really assimilated themselves to the role that we've asked them to play. And, have done that. They've taken pride in, hey, look, my job is to really score the ball around the basket, or my job is to really be a distributor, or my job is to, primarily be a defender and rebounder. And, those guys understand that the aggregate of the execution of all those roles is what makes us a great team. And those guys have had a lot of maturity to do that and take pride in doing that.
Mark Price again hanging with us here on Baseline to Baseline on ESPN Chattanooga. All right, let's talk a little bit about this matchup coming up against the NBA. What do you know about this team, and what do you feel like your guys have to do to be successful in this one on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we've played NBA in the regular season most years that I've been here. We did not play them this year in the regular season. We hosted them here last year in the regular season early. So it was a game where they had not had their guys from football for very long, and we didn't have Cam Sparks last year when we played them. But so I don't know that game is a very good barometer for where these two teams are. Again, it's a team that they finished 10-2 in the middle region. We finished 6-2. Both of us playing in strong regions, and they're really well coached. Kevin Anglin, the former Vanderbilt player, good friend of mine, does a really good job coaching their team. Marcel Reed, who was their standout quarterback on their state runner-up championship football team, is a great basketball player. They've got really good pieces, as do we. They've done a good job of, having guys that do what they asked Kevin to do as well. So they mirror us in so many ways. I think they mirror us, institutionally. It's a school that, it's got academic reputation and strength, just like Baylor. So I love competing against schools that are, like-minded in so many ways. And so this is going to be a great game. They're a really good team. We're a really good team. Both of us have had a really good year, and, the winner goes to the state tournament. So, it's what you want for postseason basketball.
Yeah, you certainly do. And I know there was a little more pep in your voice there when you said state runner-up NBA in football, because obviously the Baylor Red Raider football team took them down in the state championship game. That's always good to see. Hopefully you guys will be able to do that as well. Now, before I let you roll, talk to me a little bit about what this week has been like for you guys leading up to this game, practice-wise. I don't want you to give away, obviously, all your secrets, but what do you guys been working on as a team? How much film study kind of goes into, leading into a playoff matchup like this, and how much film study do you utilize on a weekly basis with your team in between games?
Yeah, we watch a lot of video with our team. I just think it's so valuable. We do some of our film work individually with guys, bringing guys in and allowing them to watch, with a coach. We also do a good bit of it collectively, in our video room prior to practice a lot of times. A lot of it is, video that we watch on ourselves. And then, we certainly spend time on our opponents as well. I mean, it's very important you understand what you need to do as a team, really being, having a self-scout approach as opposed to also, preparing and knowing how you expect the opposition to play. But there's been 2 weeks where we didn't play a midweek game. So we had a long week last week where we didn't play on Tuesday. We're coming off winter break and then played on Friday. And then this week, because we got the bye, of course, we didn't play during the week. So, it's tricky, this time of year, practice can be a little cumbersome. And I think, the most important thing is to be really efficient, economical with your time, make sure that what you're doing is very purposeful. Not everything that you can do to prepare for these games necessarily happens between the lines. Just doing a lot of mental work, continuing to try to build your team unity, which is a huge part. It's a pillar of our program and something that our guys have really excelled at this year. And the chemistry with our team is really good. So just continuing to foster those things, I think, give us the best chance on Saturday.
Love it, Coach. Mark Price has been our guest here on Baseline to Baseline. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time here today, and best of luck on Saturday. Again, let's take down NBA one more time.
All right, great. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.